So welcome back. So today what we're going to be doing, we're going to be making this nice jacket here, and I'm going to do some modifications on this jacket, and one of them will be taking the collar off and changing the sleeve up on this jacket. So we're going to hack. I told you I don't just wear a pattern right out of the pack. I got to do something different to it. So, and this mid-century balloon sleeve is the one we're going to be using. I just love it. I love both of these, but I am going to be using this one, which is view A. Okay, and we chose this beautiful kente fabric to make our pattern. It is Black History Month, so I am going to be celebrating in my nice jacket. So if you want to know how this jacket is made, keep watching. We're going to be making this beautiful jacket. So the pattern pieces that you're going to need, and I've already cut my pattern pieces out. Your first pattern piece you're going to need is pattern piece number 1. Pattern piece number 1 is your jacket. It's the front of the jacket, and if you notice on this pattern piece you have triangles, large dots, you got darts and all of that, and you got your markings, you got your notches. So make sure, and I cannot stress this enough, to cut out your notches. Everywhere you see a notch, you see a double notch, cut out a double. You see single, cut out one. So cut out your notches, make your markings. Make your markings. It's a small dot, make that. And this one here, as you can see, I'm going to make this in a 16. I made this, I marked it on my size. You got 16, 18, 20, 22. So the smallest on this pattern is a 16, and I made that. Then over here, I got a large dot I circled in. And you do it on both sides. Your notches, your dots, your markings are very important and crucial if you want your garment to come out nice. So that's pattern piece number 1. Then you're going to need pattern piece number 2, which is the back of your jacket. Okay, this one as well, you have darts. Got a nice dart. So when you got darts, what they do is, because we are not straight, we are curved. So darts give your garment a curve, okay? So you're going to stitch those down. Those are your darts. Make sure all of your markings you got. Then we have the lining piece. As you notice, this is white. Your lining does not have to be the same as your fashion fabric. Usually it's the cheaper fabric. You can get the lining fabric. Some people just like theirs lined in the fashion fabric as well. I've done that too, so it's no problem with it. It's just up to you. And in this one, you have your darts as well. A lining is basically another dress in a dress. That's all it is. It's your dress mimic the other one. So that's the reason why sometimes it's a little bit more expensive when people are getting garments made and they're getting a lining put in it. Preferably, I don't like a lining. I like mine because I sweat, and so I don't like a lining. So make sure you're cutting out your notches and your dart piece. And then here you can see where the pleats. These are going to be your vents in the back for your pleats. You got to have some ease in there in your jacket. And so you got a large dot here, and then you got a stitching line going up to the top. Then you got a large dot here and a stitching line going down. You got one in the middle there, but I am not going to do that one. Dot to dot, you stitch. Dot, 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 those are stitching lines for you, okay? So you put that over to the side. Then we have pattern piece number 6, which is your lining piece for the jacket. So, okay, sorry about that. So now we have our front lining jacket piece, and that is piece number 6. And you make sure you're making all your markings in there. I made my marking up here. You got all of these notches here, and what you're going to do is mark only the notch for your size. Mine, I marked a 16, so that's what I marked. Then you mark your notch there, your notch there. So, and then you got a tiny little one up at the top. And so, a little dot there. Oh, you put that one over to the side. Now we have our front facing. Our front facing piece is That's what gives your jacket the stiffness. It gives it the form in a jacket, a nice interfacing. So as you can see, I've already interfaced both of my pieces. I've interfaced them already, so it's ready to go. I made my markings, triangled, big dots, squares, and then cut out, made my notches. So put that over to the side, and now, honey, our hat. This is our sleeve, and this is going to be so nice. So what we're going to do, all of this is going to have to be gathered in order to fit in your sleeve cuff. There's no way you can get all of that in your sleeve, so unless you're gathering it. So it's going to give it that nice poofy look, okay? And then it's going to go down into a nice form. It's going to really be nice. So I'm excited about this. And so let's put all those pieces to the side. Put all those sewing pieces to the side. And what you're going to start on first is your jacket piece number 1, which is the front, okay? So you're going to get your front piece. You're going to take your pattern off of it. Lay that to the side. And what I do too is I grab a ruler. I've already got, I don't know if you can see this, but I've already even drawn my dart. I connected everything. I just like to do that. So what we're going to do is you're going to take this over to the sewing machine. You're going to stitch down. I like to start at the top. Remember I told you? Then when you get to your large dot, you're going to tie it off. Do not back tack. Tie it off. It just gives it a better finish, okay? We're going to do that for both of them, and we'll be right back. So now that we've sewn our darts down, and if you notice, I pressed them down going toward the back. Okay, I pressed my darts down. So you got those done, and now what you can do is put those to the side. Now you grab your pattern piece number 2. That is your back piece, okay? You take your pattern piece off and that pattern piece to the side. Now, what you're going to do for this is you're going to need your pins, okay? You get your pins, and what you're going to do is, because you are going to have to stitch this, find your notches. And I know I just did that. It's a habit I'm trying to teach you guys. So find your notches first and then pin from end to end, okay? But always find those notches first, okay? We're going to be sewing 5/8 of an inch straight down, okay? And also on this piece, pattern piece number 2, which is the back, we have our darts. We have a small, it's a little thinner than the front piece was, but however, you have darts. Me, I like to start from the bottom, biggest, and go all the way up. Go all the way up to your large dot, and then you know you got about your 3-inch wing, a string you're gonna leave on there. You're gonna tie it off. Do not back tack here. You're gonna back tack when you start, but do not back tack when you finish. Okay? So once you're done doing that, come on back. So now that we have sewn our darts down and we sewn our center back all the way up 5/8 of an inch, now you're starting to see that curve come into play. Your garment is starting to curve off just like you are. We're curvy people. So what you're going to do next is you're going to grab pattern piece number 1, which is your front, and you're going to match them at the shoulder seams. Join your notches first, okay? Join your notches. You can't stress that enough. Join your notches. Then I always go to the end because you're going to have ease in there. It's the end and pin. And the other end and pin. And then, see how you got that? See, you would have had a mess if you wouldn't have did your notches first. That's your ease for your shoulders, because as you're moving, just because your measurements are taken at one thing, it does, your body still moves. So you're bending. If you're taking your measurements and your arm is straight down, it's going to be different than when you bend it. So that's the reason why when they're taking your measurements, they're always having you to bend your arm. You wonder, why do I have to bend my arm? And it's because you're going to gain probably another inch, inch and a half, depending on your body type. So that's why you do that. So now, start there. Pinned at my notch. I started at my notch first. Then I go back down to the other end. And see that play in there. That's ease. That's all that is. So what you do is you manipulate that fabric out and you kind of spread it across. Okay, and you pin. So now that we have our shoulder seams, we're going to back tack at each point. Then you're going to press this down and we'll be right back. Okay, y'all still with me? Now, what we're doing is we got the back and the front pieces joined together at the shoulder seams. As you can see, I press mine down. Press your garments as you go. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to fold this up and we're going to do our side seams. Now it's time to put the side seams together, okay? So you're going to stitch starting at the top shoulder. You're going to match your notches up. So if I do this a little different, it's because I'm teaching you guys now, and so I got to learn to do it a little different because I do mine a little different, but I want to show you the right way. So once you venture out and you can do it on your own, that's a little different. Once you can start making these your adjustments yourself and learning how to do it yourself, that's different. You'll be able to manipulate, cut corners here and there, but right now you don't want to cut any corners. You don't want to. Right now you want to go by the directions. I did that and you wouldn't believe how many times that seam ripper came in handy because I had to take garments apart. I've gotten garments almost finished and had to take them completely apart because I did not follow the directions, okay? So, and thinking that I know a better way, like, oh, okay. But until you master that, you can't do that. Until you master it. Find my notches. There's my notches. Once you master it, you're fine. But until you master it, go by the directions. For best and results, follow the instructions, okay? I want you to be beautiful, so I want your garments to come out perfect. Mine didn't. I got some garments in the closet in there. Some I've thrown away. That, oof. But some of them I keep just to show me what I've learned and techniques I've learned. So, now that we have those pinned, what we're going to do is sew all the way down, back tacking to start. And you stop at a back tack. And once you get that done, come on back. Okay, so now that you have joined your side seams together and you've pressed, gave it a good press, now is the perfect time to try on your jacket. You want to try this on at this point. You do not want to proceed until you try it on to make sure everything is fitting correctly. Now, one good thing about patterns that have darts in them, you can always let the darts out and give yourself some more room, okay? You can always do that. So at this point, you want to try it on. So, go ahead and try it on and see if it's fitting. And if it's fitting correctly, come on to this next step right here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put this bodice piece to the side because now we know that it fits us nicely and we can proceed. So now what we're going to do is we're going to grab our lining piece. Now, one other quick thing before. At this point as well, since I am not doing a collar, at this point in the process is when we were going to attach our collar, okay? That's the point. I'm not doing a collar on this one. So I grabbed pattern piece number 4, and I put my lining over to the side. This is on the fold. So as you can see, I already have my darts cut out. I already got my darts, okay? So, and my vents where I'm gonna sew, okay? My vent, the dots for my vents in the back. Oh, I'm getting tight-tongued here. But anyway, what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and sew these darts straight up, sew our vents at the bottom and at the top, and come on back. Okay, as you can see, I got my darts sewn down, and I pressed them toward the inside. Then I have my stitches where my vents for my jacket is. I got those starting at the large dots, coming down, starting at the large dot, coming down. Then what I did was I put a stay stitch across there just to secure it in place on both the top and the back, okay? So you should be able to fan it out like that. There should be a fan look. See that? When you're wearing your garment, it should fan out in the back. Give you some room when your shoulders, I'm trying to show you this, when your shoulders are moving, it just fans out a little bit. Probably haven't noticed it in your garments, but it's in very high-end garments where they do that. So now what you're going to do is you're going to put this piece, you're going to stay stitch. I'm sorry. We need to stay stitch at the shoulder edges. Put your stay stitch is your largest stitch size. So just a stay stitch, you're going to do that and then come back. So now that we have stay stitched our shoulder edge on our back lining piece, we're going to put this piece over to the side. And now we're going to grab our pattern piece number 5. And pattern piece number 5 is your front facing. You take the pattern piece off of there, and you should have already lined your pieces. So you're going to turn them right sides together, right sides up, and then from there you're going to grab pattern piece number 6. Told you these were going to have to be connected, and so you take the pattern piece off of there, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put one goes there and the other one goes here. We're going to attach these, and what we're going to do, you're going to find your notch, and then you're going to find your notch over on your pattern piece. So my notch is down here. It's not, notch is right here. So you find your notch, and the first thing you want to do is you want to start pinning from your notch, okay? You're going to have to manipulate this, both your, because there's 2 notches on here. There's going to be some manipulation. It's going to feel like, oh my goodness, this doesn't fit, but it does fit. It does fit. So you're just going to have to manipulate it and play with it and get it in there to fit, because what this is your bust points. And, you know, our bust goes out. So now you got to try to manipulate this fabric almost into this straight fabric where it doesn't give as much. So there is going to be some, you're going to be pinning, unpinning, and all of that. So until you get it right, it's going to look like you have too much fabric. You don't have too much fabric. There is not too much fabric, because if you cut it thinking you got too much fabric, then it's you're cutting down on your measurement and your bust measurement. Your bust measurement is not straight. Okay? It's curvy. We're curvy people. So you're going to need, for this, at this point, you're going to need a lot of pins. A lot of pins. The more pins you have on this at this point, the better, because as you sew, sometimes those teeth, the bottom teeth in the sewing, when it's sewing, sometimes it'll shift the pattern a little bit, the feeders. So you got to make sure you're pinning this right. Then once I get there and all of that, that is the part that's really hard, that breast point part. Because you get down here, you can kind of see your curve again. You can kind of see where you are. So once you do this, for both of these, see? And then you want to make sure that all of your fabric, see how that is? You got to manipulate it. You're just going to have to take it out sometime, put it in there again, take the pin out sometime, because you can't have any puckering or anything. Any puckering like that, all it's going to do is get bigger when you start sewing. That's all puckering is going to do. And it's just, it's going to look very flawed. It's not going to look right. You're not going to like it. You're probably going to end up with the seam ripper, ripping it out of there, trying to get it perfect. So I'm trying to alleviate that right now. You can alleviate that now. The only pin you don't move is your notch pins. You can move all these other pins around as much as you want. Do not move your notch pins, okay? Those are there for a reason. Do not move your notch pins. So I think I got this pretty good. And what you're going to do is just go and do it for the other side, and we'll be right back. Okay, so now that you have those, that was a headache, I tell you. So now that we have those sewn on, and now I've snipped. I snipped all the way down, especially in my corners, put snips. And what that does is it loosens the fabric up and gives you that bust point. Now you should see a point there. You should see a point there in your bust area. You see that? It starts. Now if you have a shirt hem, you can put that on there. A hem. I don't have one yet, so what I do is I kind of just press and then put a towel or something under there, and it gives me that form that I need. So now that you have those done, that part done, you're going to grab your back piece and you're going to turn it right side to right side. And what you're going to do is you're going to find your notches and find your notches. So what you're going to do, you did that stay stitch in there. And so what that stay stitch does is it gives you room. You can pull that. You got a little ease in there, okay? And you want to pull it all the way back to you match up those ends. And so you're going to have it. It's almost like a little pleat in there, but that's what the stay stitch was for, to give you some room to grow in there, if you will. So we're going to find our notches again on this end, this other sleeve. I hope you're having fun, because I am. I love creating beautiful garments. I just love to. Use your stay stitch. Do not cut off fabric. Done that before too, because I'm thinking, oh, it's too much fabric on here. But that is what your stay stitch is for. You see that? You manipulate that, and then you put your pins in there. Then what we're going to do now is we're going to stitch all the way across, and using our stay stitch as a guide. Okay, so you got a guide now, so you can use that as a guide and sew straight across there. Then once you get done doing that, what you can do is, because I like to bag my when you're doing a lined jacket, what you're going to find is you're going to have to, at some point when you connect these, you got to be able to get in there to turn it inside out. So what I do is I'll leave about Let me tell you how much. On one side, I won't sew because you got to be able to bag this back out. I leave about 4.5 inches, 4 to 4.5 inches open. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Once I sew down past my notches, I'll stop. Leave about 4.5 inches there. Then I start back sewing again, just on one side, because I like my jackets where I don't have to hem the bottom. And when you do it this way, you don't have to. It's called bagging method. So we're going to do the bagging method on this one. So right now, on one side, you can choose the side you want, but you're going to have to go and slip stitch it back once you do it, or you can just use the machine and do it. Go all the way down past your notch, past this notch, and then leave about 4.5 inch opening. Start here, back tack, and sew all the way down. On this side, you're just going to sew straight down. So when you get done with that, we'll be right back.